All right. What is up, everybody? I'm back. Keith Jameson, go to Gay Guy 231 on Sorare. Back on the first pitch, Alex. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Just show the
I'm all
coffee. It's
right.
fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna hear me slurping from my San Antonio Starbucks cup throughout this because I'm
That's
moving
actually
a
cool.
little
You have a
slow.
standard. Hold on. So as we do this weekly, it's happening. People are
Yes.
going to know that I start out shows goofy. It's just how it rolls. Well, what's up with the San Antonio Cup?
My brother lived in San Antonio
Okay.
when he got out of optometry school. He got his first like
Okay.
big boy job down there, and his now wife got a job down there, and they moved there for a little bit before they moved back to Ohio. And we had
Okay.
a wonderful trip to San
I love
Antonio,
that.
and they sent me this mug.
That's so much more of a normal story than I was like hoping for. I was like hoping for I was at like a pawn shop in Tampa and I thought that this was like the coolest cup ever.
It is one of my favorite mugs, but it's tied
I
very
so
heavily to a
here's
positive
here's the craziest
experience.
thing. Yes, here's the craziest thing. I have a Dallas cup. That was like funny, like the city of Dallas. And that has like no
Like
meaning.
issued by the government, like sold
No,
by the
it was
government.
like so we referred a client to a realtor in Dallas and they sent us this like welcome to Dallas gift basket,
That's
which is
cool
kind of
though.
cool. Yeah.
I like
But I
that
was like,
stuff. Worldly.
welcome. Like it was just interesting. I'm like, welcome to Dallas. I'm like, I ain't leaving Tampa. So
Yeah. Never even
so
been to Dallas.
anyhow, there's the 2 minutes of kookiness. But I was gonna joke, like, especially if we start needing the oh, and by the way, this is gonna be a staple of the show is my kid coming over. What's that? No, oh, grandma will come over today. But you gotta eat up. All right. He like struggles in the morning. But anyhow, I was gonna joke.
Don't
There
don't
should
we
be
all?
like so that was gonna be the name of the show, right? Like I love Sorare Data guys. Like, we're both, fortunate enough to know them well too. And like, they have the Andrews, they have the strategy show. We've got your MLB first pitch. We should be like the grind. Your coffee grind.
Oh man, yeah, that's right.
No,
As long as I start to come into this with a little more energy, I don't like sipping coffee on the air, but
but you've got to grind the energy, Alex. All right.
yes,
Anyhow, topic
gotta grind a
of
lot.
today's show, and this is what I'll just say. Like, we really want to do more of these. One, because we're friends and we just enjoy talking, and we love So Rare, even though it tilts the hell out of us. But
Still tilting.
I know we'll talk about Enter here in a minute, I'm sure. But I thought it was actually even cooler because you've leaned heavy MLB. I was like thinking I would. I just can't get the itch. So I stayed leaning really heavy soccer, football. We should say football because that's literally what the icon says.
Yes.
Um, but they're like very different experiences. I feel like right now, like it's like two different platforms, two different approaches. Like I just
Mhm.
think that they're tactically different. Is that wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, first of all, on the soccer side, like there's been an audience invested, there's been a group invested, and the scale of what a certain amount of money will get you is vastly different to that of MLBs. I mean,
Right.
I think that's the first thing worth noting. But yeah, it's definitely a different strategy because, there's one league in
Right.
baseball and you can boil everything. Like it's a big nasty spreadsheet, but it's got every
It's a
player in
beautiful
there.
thing.
It
Don't say
is. Oh,
nasty.
it's great. It's just it's hearty. There's a lot going on there. And I can boil everything down into that spreadsheet and feel pretty confident about what I'm doing. Whereas, like, if I tried that with soccer, there's so many other variables. Football, there
Right.
are so many other variables, and also the lack of Ethereum prizes in MLB is
Right.
it's something.
Well, I think, what I was thinking about this last night in preparation. I think one of the things that has made it harder for me to lean into MLB because I started I started flipping cards to get like my
Mhm.
balance up. Like this, and I think I talked about it, on whatever show we've been calling it. It's gonna say this for whatever. But I like that's how I built my balance up. And the whole like lack of the trade button, like lack of a I'm going to pay you, I want that card. I'm willing to pay you a little bit more, but I don't really want to wait around for auction. I don't have, the time to set an alarm for like 7 hours in the future, right? I'm going to be
Yeah.
asleep or I'm going to be on an appointment or whatever. So I would like to buy the card. I'm willing to pay you a premium right now for access to that card immediately, but I'm not paying you the 5x premium that you're asking for this given moment.
And
And I think
that's
that's
actually
the
been,
tough part. They really need to get that done.
yeah, and it hasn't been a problem in MLB. Generally, like for rares, even there was at least one new mint
Fair.
of a rare, yeah, like
Right.
on the auction block at any given time. And now, as I've been preparing for, like the midweek game week closes and the weekend opens, and I'm like, all right, going through my projections, and identify someone I want, and I go to the market. And the last 4 or 5 times I've gone and looked for a card, and it's only available on the secondary market. And
And
generally, yeah, like they're marked up. You said 5%, but or 5 times or whatever, but like it's 10 times a lot of
yeah,
times. Like
which you're not
the
going to
listings
buy,
aren't really helpful, right?
which you're not
Yeah,
going to
so
buy,
I'm just like, all right, next
especially
guy.
especially in baseball, because
Hmm.
like you've talked about it on your show a ton. Even though I'm not like playing baseball a ton, I still love the show. But like the margins between player A that I really want and player B that I really want. I mean, we're talking like 1 to 2% margins, right? Like you're just popping them in the
Projection
random
wise,
number
yeah,
generator. Right, right. But we're just popping in the random number generator. So, I really wanted, I'm so bad at naming, but I really wanted, Mookie Betts,
hmm,
but he's not the guy wants 10 times his last auction.
right,
So I'm okay to drop down to, let's just call it Cody Bellinger. Same team, same matchup. Now,
sure,
Cody Bellinger is only like 1.5x what he should be going for. So I'm just going to do that, right? Or
yeah,
am I wrong?
yeah, yeah, you're right. And Mookie Betts is a salient example because he put up the highest score in the history of the platform since it went
It's like I
live last
know.
week.
Must
So
have known. That's actually surprising it wasn't judged, considering how like crazy of a heater he was on when we started.
yeah, I think Betts had 4 or 5 homers in three
Jesus.
days. Yeah, he had a
That's good.
91.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it was insane. So but his price is going to be through the roof now. And yeah, if it's only available on the secondary market, and even if it's not, even if it's on auction, like the way that prices are moving up and down in baseball too, like things sustain over the course of a 162 game season. But when guys get hot in one game week
Yep.
or 2 game weeks and their L40 or whatever they use in the corner of their card goes
L15.
up,
Is it
yeah,
L15? Okay.
I think it might be L40 for him. I was
That's weird.
working on this with John Nellis and we couldn't figure it out. We couldn't figure out
That's
whether it was L15 or L40. So,
that's
but
amazing.
either way, it should be L40 in baseball because that's way like the sample size is way closer to.
That's yeah,
But
that makes sense.
apropos of the prices shoot way up. Like Willie Adames had a great couple of weeks, and Willie from the
That's
Rays, and
painful for a Rays fan.
yeah, right. But he had a great 2 weeks, and the Brewers had a 4 game week, and I mean his price. Andrew
Shut
Laird
up.
showed us, yeah, it shot way up, and
Yeah.
in baseball, like people are going to be worth what they're worth over a single season. So like when guys shoot up like that, it makes more sense to sell, and
Can
you're gonna see those markups like be even more wild.
let me ask a question, because
Hmm.
again, this is like somewhat me departuring, which is kind of this actually is like an unintended cool consequence of me not departuring, because now you can like share for people that are like the 6 people that watch the show, if there's one that doesn't play a ton. But like I wonder, this is just a hypothesis, tell me if I'm like completely off, but could it actually be that somebody like me comes in and goes, I really want to play this week, Willie Adamas should be 0.02 ETH. I really
Hmm.
want to play. Alex told me he's a killer play, and so I'm willing to pay 0.04. And now I actually screwed up the market because I overpaid a little bit. So now the next auction sees my last sale and goes, oh, okay, I can build him up. I wonder if that's somewhat happening too because of the lack of the trade system. Any
It does
thoughts?
to it does to a degree, and it has to a degree. One price point hasn't like massively affected a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, you start to see those runs, and because of the way that users are filtering into MLB, but generally we're kind of at a point where the guys who
Right.
want certain cards kind of have them, or if they want a certain card and don't have them, they'll really go after them.
And
So
that's an
sometimes,
interesting
yeah,
part too,
you
because of
will see
not
it. Yeah.
the hundreds of thousands of player cards that we have. Like, I want to be different this week. I can go to freaking Croatia,
Right.
and we got the entire Croatian league in football, right? In
Right.
baseball, we still got the same. I wanted to say 29 teams. Is it 29, 30,
30?
29, 30?
30.
Okay. It was one of those two. But it's the same bit. But I just was curious if we're seeing that overreaction, that one sale, because now all of a sudden everybody's like, they're setting their price and they're like, hey, stupid Gator guy paid a crazy amount for Adamas, so why can't the next one? And you don't have like the offer system to kind of like draw it down, or maybe I wouldn't have paid that price and maybe that guy would have agreed upon a lesser price. It just doesn't exist. Just
Right.
something to think about.
Right. No, it has been the case to a degree. I do think things would even out quite a bit if that were the case. And
Agreed, because that's a way to make an efficient market versus
yeah,
right now,
right.
which is the only efficient market is auction. But now the auction can get screwed up by, pardon my French, but an asshole Gator guy paying wrong, right? Something like that. Just
Sure.
so
And
cool.
I do use that for, like, I use last sale more as a parameter of where I'm going to list my guys, because
Right.
I'm not tied to any players in MLB because of what I talked about. Like, I bought Kyle Schwarber at like 0.04 and his last sale is like in the 0.09 area. And even though I have Schwarber as one of my better projected players, I'm still throwing him up on the market for that,
Right.
because if I get that, I can probably go back to the auction block and get him and just have like a free 0.03 from
Or
grabbing him on the auction
or
block.
I loved like your last reward video where you were like, all right, let's take this guy. He's
Hmm.
0.01 and let's
Hmm.
decide based on projections if we should keep him or if we can do better. Like, so like you could probably do the same with Schwarber. It's like, okay, now Schwarber's not a 0.04 card to me. He's a 0.09 card. Let's just say I want to bank a little bit of ETH because I don't have the ETH payouts, like you just said. Let's see what 0.065 could be. And now with that projection for the
Hmm.
0.065 guy, be better. I think that's a
Right.
cool way to do it.
It's
And
a
you don't really have that in football because football's a
right.
lot matchup. Football's a lot your
Yes.
team, all that stuff.
Yeah, that it can change a lot in football for sure. It's funny with rewards in MLB, the one guy I want more than any other, and it's not going to be surprising to anybody, but I want Shohei Ohtani in my rewards.
I know him.
Right, you do. I want Shohei Ohtani in my rewards, but I would never, ever, 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 ever buy him because his price is inflated. He's not worth what people think he's worth on the platform in
Yep.
the game. So I would just sell him, and I could sell Shohei Ohtani, and I don't even know what he's going for. So zero point 0.5 ETH is his
And
last 3 days
and is
sale.
that
I
rare
could
or,
get
or limited? I'm just
rare,
sure. Okay. Okay. We're
rare.
alpha limited world.
Yes, if I won a Shohei Ohtani rare, I could sell him and I could get a Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Corbin Burns, and Aaron Nola, the top 5 projected pitchers, all for the price that a Shohei Ohtani would net me on the market. So, like, I want a Shohei Ohtani reward
But I'm not gonna
so
pay
I
it.
can sell it.
See, okay, that's interesting. By the way, we haven't got to the topic yet. We will get there, but that's just, we're like typical Andrews style here. But okay, so like you remember this, and maybe two of the six people watching will remember this, but I won underdog in football. Like I don't even have a concept of time. What was that, a month and a half ago, 2 months? And Sean and you and just a few other people were like messaging me, and then we're like, all right, because there were some crazy rewards in underdog at this point. Like it was Mbappe, it was Holland. I want to say there was like a Messi, and then it was like a Vanderbilt. So like some top names. And so they totally like make you dream, right?
Hmm.
So like the question was posed to me, like if you get like what card do you want? I'm like, okay, they probably aren't gonna do this, but I'm like, Kimmich is in the pool. Kimmich isn't like I was thinking to myself, I would actually have a hard time selling Kimmich, not because like I can't use him properly. Like the correct answer when I don't have a small gallery. I have like a 27, 28 ETH gallery right now. But a 10 ETH player that's in champion Europe that I don't play. It's just kind of like not the best use of resources. Like I could
Right.
probably do what you just said and
Right.
name like 9 guys, 9 like stars that I could put together, and that's definitely the way to go. But it's also like, oh, I actually have Kimmich. Or let's say I
It's
actually have Mbappe, or like in your example, I actually have Otani, and I didn't pay for him.
right. Right. It's funny that you say that because I was doing that yesterday. You said we would end up talking about Inter, and now I'm going to. But
Oh, we're crossing over. Let's go.
in the 88th minute, Inter beating Cremonese 3-0 and holding a clean sheet, and I am
And
fifth
you're like
in.
top five, right?
Yeah,
Top five.
I was fifth in Champion Europe, and I was like, of course, I had to look at the star cards available in Champion Europe, and I was looking through it, and I saw Mbappe, and I was like, obviously, like, yeah, that'd be great, but fifth isn't going to get Mbappe, and I was like, Messi, fantastic, I would sell it probably, and then I got to Kimmich, and I was like, I mean, he's my favorite non-Premier League footballer, non-Premier League, non-American. Um, I love
And you're
Josh
playing
Kimmich.
champion limited, and you're like, okay, he
Right.
kind of fits. I don't have to
He,
play
but at the same time, I have Nico Barea and Hakan
Talon.
Çalhanoğlu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well said.
So I don't. I was like, maybe I would prefer an Mbappe because then I could like play him over Lautaro, who didn't even start yesterday and came in and scored a goal.
And then
But
and then
so
Enter
I was
did what
having
they
those
needed to
thoughts.
do. Yeah, and then
Yeah, and then
because you
entered
did that, this is what I also love about Sorare, by the
gave up
way.
a banger in the 90th minute.
But this is what I love about Sorare. It was your fault, actually.
Probably, probably based on my track record. Um, It probably was my fault because I've I've flirted with a couple of big days and boy, I can't get across the line.
So I'm trying to.
I'm still in tier 1 territory going into the day, but we got a bunch of Champion Europe we got PSG today for one and a lot of biggies, so
That'll say a lot. Unfortunately, limited that will determine a lot. So
yeah.
anyhow, let's get on. Yeah, that was painful though. I was literally at Publix and got that notification, and I was like, ah, crap. I was rooting you on because I didn't have much to root for this week, so I was like full out in Tilt City podium mindset, and
We did what we do. We tilted.
it's okay.
Tilt
Classic
City for a reason.
Spurs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So anyhow, let's talk about the topic and see how what conversation has keep going. So the topic, hold on, I actually have to like, go to the thumbnail that I made is what should we expect? And I have your boy Çalhanoğlu on the cover for
Eh,
you. I got my boy Teddy Tuma, super
mm,
rare, on the front. And the reason I wanted to start with this topic is because I think this is like one of the things that divides the so rare community. There's many things. Let's be real. There are many, many things that divide the so rare community. Just look on Twitter in the day, and you can find the drama probably from the first few clicks. But I think for so many, it's I'll say the haves versus the have-nots, right? Like the guys that show their rewards videos, and there's 25 rewards in there. The ones that get their ETH and are super pumped. The ones that get one card and are like, oh my God, I haven't had a card in months. And all of this just goes as what should we be expecting of our cards? What's your answer to that?
my answer to that is it depends what you put in, first of all. Like on a week to week basis in football, because of the size of my gallery. My gallery is like 3 ETH for what it's worth. In football, if I get the second threshold, so the 250 in Global All-Star, I'm fine. Anything else is a bonus. Anything less is a catastrophe, but anything more than that is definitely a bonus for me. So basically what I'm running out now is a group of the 5 guys I tried to get, the best value for in rare and try to get the threshold, and then I have my interstack, which should technically put up a good fight against Cremonese in the midweek, and they did. But that's kind of where I'm trying to generate cards. Whereas in MLB, that's where you can use value to unearth extra points and have a shot at winning some different things. So my expectations are vastly different between the two. I'm expecting to compete to win in baseball
Okay.
because even though I didn't have that much money, I know how I can maximize the points. And while I don't have Aaron Judge or Mookie Betts, I just have to hope they don't put up a 91 in a week.
Right.
Because if he even puts up a just a 50, like a really good week last week, I'm more towards the top. But because he had a 91, all of the people who could go and afford him just ran
Yep.
laps around everyone else. So
And then
my
they have the other
expectations are
good
vastly
players
different.
on top of that too, because
Right.
Judge and Betts are so expensive. Then they also have the guys that have as much of a floor as you can expect in baseball.
Right. Not a lot of people are going out and buying one Mookie Betts and then like the backup catcher for the A's and running him out in middle infield. It's generally
Right.
if you got one, you have at least decent players around him.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my difference is it depends. It's on what you are able to put in. I can extract more value out of MLB, but if I blank and don't win a card, I'm not going to win Ethereum. And even if I win the best card, I'm not going to win Ethereum. Whereas in football, for me, where I'm at, I mean, I think what you want to do if say you had unlimited funds, but your guarantor was going to cut you off at a certain amount. What you do, in my mind, is you go to football, you create the best rare all-star team you can that will for sure get you 250 points per, and then you make a decision. And for me, I would do that, and then I would go to MLB because I think I have a better chance playing in that pool.
Yeah. So I actually had like a really good question, then all of a sudden I'm completely blanking on it. So I guess where I wanted to go with that though is, do you think just because you have, I mean, 3 ETH is nothing to sniff at or like to, you know, just discard on the football side. Let's just say football. Are you owed? Do you deserve those thresholds, a random card? Or is it ultimately on you if you don't get it?
I mean, I don't feel like I deserve anything in this life. And
But
So Rare it's a cruel mistress.
it
I don't
is such a cruel mistress.
I don't
I
think
missed the second threshold. Okay, like here's the craziest thing. And again, like kind of what you were just talking about, like has versus has, like, you know, how much you and how much I didn't hit second threshold last week because my former now, he's still on my team, but I don't know where he is. Supposedly he might want to be done with his club, and he may or may not be injured because I don't speak Turkish. And so just getting translate eventually on Twitter gets old. But I had a 1.5 or 1.6 ETH keeper in global all-star rare. Just after locked, decided, you know, the day before, I guess he's not going to play, or he might have torn something. So like that's a crazy one, right? But
yeah.
so like even if you have these expensive guys, nothing's guaranteed. And I think that's where I was somewhat going with this topic
Hmm.
is I do think, like, I see all of the different tweets, and you know, every once in a while I'll make the mistake of clicking into like server general chat just to like feel better about myself, but you just get torn down. But I think people think just because they invested, I don't even think invested's the wrong word, just because they bought cards, that now because they are the owner of cards, that there's some sort of responsibility that the Sorare site, or that the Sorare game, maybe the game is even better, owes them X or owes them something, or they deserve, maybe that's the right word. That's going to get us in trouble. I should stop, but I don't care. But like, I just think the reality is this is a game. Like, you know, I come from the DFS side. If you make crappy lineups in DFS, you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going to go to zero. And my thought on the Sorare side is like no different. You don't buy the right cards. You buy guys because they had a great run of games, Mookie Betts or whatever. But what you didn't research was they were filling in for the team's superstar.
Right.
And now they're back to the bench. You have yourself to blame.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so just to go back for a second, I think the two words you did use are where kind of the disconnect and where that fork in the road is you said invest because people think that they're investing
Yeah,
in a
the investment
platform.
thing is kind of bugging me. I'm not gonna
And when,
lie.
but when you invest in something, you expect a return, and
That's you're spot on.
sometimes that's 86% of your initial investment. And
Right.
that's very much the case. A lot of times the guys I buy in football just because I'm trying to find guys who start and guys who have value. So naturally I'm going to find people who have been scoring well and probably their price is a little inflated. And then I buy them and they regress towards the mean and that price drops. And sometimes, I'm getting like 86% on my investment, but trying to meet in the middle with the thresholds. That's the thing I have the hardest time with in
Mhm.
football is like, this, I'm having a conundrum where I'm running out an Asia goalkeeper, but the season is ending and his value
Right.
is dropping, and I would like to get a European goalkeeper to carry me through, you know,
A few
until
months.
the World Cup. Yeah, until Asia comes back, and I would really like to get out of Asia completely at this point. But I'm having to figure out whether or not it makes sense to invest in a European keeper to
Right.
keep generating those thresholds and to see if what I lose or potentially lose on the card can be met in the middle or hopefully make a gain by the thresholds that I'm grinding out. So the
So
investment is the one thing and the deserving is the other thing because if you feel like I feel like this in real life and my whole life, not just so rare, but I feel like if you feel like you deserve something, oftentimes you're going to be disappointed because nobody owes you anything, not much in the universe owes you anything, and boy, I'll tell you, so rare doesn't feel like they owe you anything.
so
And
rare
I don't know
hears
why
you
they would.
think you des so rare hears that you think you deserve something, and they go, actually, have you
Yeah.
been kicked in the
And
nuts really hard recently?
and
Because
I feel
that's
that way. And that's how I feel about my Interstack, especially through, they had a great matchup in week one and they biffed it. And then in week two, they were okay. And then they got blown out by Lazio. And then
they're like Hoop. Were you excited about this week? Or are
right,
you
right.
actually excited about the pain I'm about to give you?
Oh, you only had three players in Global All-Star and you're not going to get a threshold. Why don't you count on us? Oops. Here's a curling goal from outside of the box from a dude who's just been
But
blasting him over
but
the bar all day.
is that not like football like described too? Like, you get all excited for the match of the week for your club. They just go, and you were like, I've had this happen before where I'm like, oh god, the week's kind of sucked. Oh
Hmm.
man, I got Liverpool versus Man United. God, this is gonna be great. We're gonna thrash them, our rival, kick them while they're down. This is gonna recharge me. Like, I can't wait till Monday at 3. That's like a microcosm of football. I just I kind of love Sorare for that in a way.
I'm
I'm
glad
like,
you do. I'm
well,
glad you
no,
do because
no,
I'm
like,
still I'm still reeling, man.
yeah, no, you should be, but like, dude, like, I was joking with a few people over the weekend because this is like why the topic service for me, right? It's like a workshop. This is the cool thing about like doing content and pods is like it's kind of can be like a workshop for yourself. You're just like,
It's therapy.
I'm just gonna air my dirty laundry and
Yeah.
hopefully not upset too many people. And if I do, oh well, I was just talking. But I made like all these investments before this European football season. And the funniest thing, I was talking to Laird last night about it because they had an awesome strategy show on Monday. I don't know if you've watched it. I definitely recommend anybody to, especially people that are like trying to get in the game and talk about like valuations and like when you should buy. I don't even think that was like the topic they meant to go to, but they got there and they nailed it. And so the horrible part of the hoop, and I think I told you this, people were like, so I've had like love MLS. MLS is freaking awesome. You should totally buy MLS cards. And right now you totally should buy them because they're dipping hard. You can get some absolute studs for practically, you know, 60% off their season highs. But I was like, all right, I knew the transition was coming. Like, and I've won a lot of rewards, and I've been very fortunate over the entire summer for my guys to generate some new cards and some ETH and all of that stuff. Was an awesome summer. It's like, all right, I freaking love SO5. Like, I want to keep playing Europe. So I bought some pretty like I was fortunate that I won 2 European keepers. Huge, like big investment out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 ETH worth of keepers. I won them. So it's like, okay, I got that. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start putting some pieces together. Had my favorite player in the world, Teddy Tuma, had his rare. Oh, I got the kiddo coming over. He heard Teddy Tuma. He's like, I gotta be in on this conversation.
The kids love Teddy Tuma. The kids
You like
absolutely
Teddy?
love the guy.
All right, he's going the other way in a blanket. He might be coming back around. But I did all this stuff. So I started buying up guys. But I had told people that hold on. Hey, go watch Paw Patrol. He's speaking another language. He's like, I hear Dad's about to vent. I'm gonna make him laugh. Hold
Well,
on.
he loves the Paw Patrol. He hears Teddy. He knows that's where he wants to go.
That's how I know you don't have kids because there's not a Teddy. Come on, who?
I
Be
know,
better.
I know, but he's a teddy bear, paws, animal.
This is
Just,
truly like the
just
Sean
trying to
Fox.
fill me.
But anyhow, so I've been saying everybody was like asking, a lot of people are asking, like, when are you going to transition to Europe? And I go, look, right before the lead of the season, prices shoot up. They're one of the most expensive they've been. And then as soon as the new cards release, we're going to see a nice drop. And that's what I'm going to buy. But impatience, like that's like one of the biggest things. Somebody else said this too. I want to say it was Sorare USA. Um, but he was just like, because that guy, if you ever look through his gallery, there has to be some patience there. But he's just like, that's like the most important thing on Sorare is patience. Like if you're patient, you can do really well because you can buy guys when they're injured. You don't sell off when they, but patience sucks. So anyhow, I bought in the lead of the season, close to the high, I bought Dusan Tadic. I bought a Teddy Tuma super rare. I was
Hmm.
pumped about that. I'll never regret that. That's just fun. Um, God, what else did I buy? I filled out a USG stack. I bought a Martin's Indy super rare. Bought another super. I did a lot. And now all of a sudden we're doing exactly what happened, right? Prices are dipping. And I'm just like, I should buy. Ah, God, I'm already in. I'm already behind. I need to yield more. Like this is like all the stuff going through my head. And then like to your point, it's like, okay, well, should I be selling off some MLS cards? But like it's the worst time to sell MLS in Asia. So you kind of got to hold on to them. But now they're not nearly as good of cards as they were in the summer because of Europe being back. So it's just like this constant change.
Right. And that patience is rough for me. And when you are like me and you're limited in what you can afford on the football side, the patience is tough. And I did it once. I sat out last winter because I had all Asia players and all of their prices were dipping. And I knew they'd be back in February, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to get off of these guys and still be able to afford anything in Europe. So I just waited out the winter. And then when the season rolled around for Asia, the prices went so high for some of those Asian dudes that I had. And if I would have sold then, I would have made a gigantic profit on those guys. But instead, I held through the rest of the Asia season, and I actually just sold off all my guys from last winter. And I'm regretting it a little bit because I ended up selling them at or below what I actually bought them for a year ago. So patience kind of kicked me in that way. But by sitting out the winter, I did learn that I could maximize what those guys gave me. So it's
I'm so
it's tough.
I think what you said earlier though, man, this kid hit his end. Hey, go watch. I might have to like bribe him, but like what they were talking about, and I think what we have seen enough cycles and we have enough data. Oh my gosh, carry on. Just give me a second.
I don't know where to go from that. Um, yeah, so I guess what I was saying with Asia is that I don't know. I could wait out another winter, and where I want to use what I have is in MLB, but I don't know if there's going to be anything to do in the winter with MLB either. So the kind of the reason that I might want to transition to Europe and why I've kind of started that is so I can just continue to generate Ethereum while MLB is off. And that is why getting out of Asia and getting into Europe was so important for me.
Yeah. So that was actually you actually led where I was going to go. I think
Okay.
the answer to somewhere like with you is kind of where you're at. Like have a limited team. You know, you have. I think if you had to go back on it, you would have probably like lowered the sites a little bit more. I think like a great way to grind like super 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 low budget. Okay,
Hmm.
because despite like having to figure out, I actually still dig like low budget and strategy. Like strategy to me is like the equilibrium on Sorare because
Hmm.
especially with these new weeklies where I've had a ton of successes because I spend extra time to scout. So like even if you can't do like underdog rare, you can do underdog limited
Right.
and like pick up like I've actually like was like just doing it like you could pick up not to go like try to go to fiat, but you could pick up a competitive team and not maybe not competitive for first place. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with this topic too, is like let's set our sights. If I'm not going to spend a boat ton of money, do I really deserve first? No, I don't deserve to compete with Mbappe, Neymar, Kimmich. Like those guys are going to win, and that's just what it is. Like
Hmm.
that happens in tons of things in life, and it's okay. But like I can go to underdog, and maybe if I'm only on like a $50 budget, but I can crank some tier twos, maybe a tier
Right.
one, some tier threes, you know, and now all of a sudden, if I did a really good job scouting, I can sell the guy possibly for more than I paid. I get
Hmm.
in, get out. I'm a very, very big proponent that I think we hold our cards too long. Like I just talked about patience, but then I think there's like we should when these guys like spike in football side, and it's the same in baseball, you already kind of talked about earlier. But when they spike, we should probably go, this might be as good as it gets. Like this might be the moment
Yeah,
and get
that's something
out.
I talk about. That's something I talk about with baseball and looking at stats a lot is the micro and the macro. And
Right.
in the short term, like if you see a spike, or in the short term, if a guy is already inflated and you buy him for that game week, like you probably want to turn around and sell him or and maximize your profit or minimize your loss because generally people regress to the mean. But also there are certain cards that you can buy and the macro view is that they should just continue to go up and also the way that you look at the platform itself generally from a macro view if you believe in the platform you believe things are going to be more expensive. Wow.
So
Yeah, that's a pretty perfect example, huh?
So this is a guy this summer that I picked up like before the
Okay,
season.
yeah, there he
I
is.
just call him Nacho,
And
but
then yeah, I see where you sold him.
now I won some stuff with him, so it's kind of
Sure.
like okay.
Yeah.
But so here, let's look at the scores real quick. So he starts ripping off, just like I think it's like about like here. He just starts ripping off just
Hmm.
crazy scores and like huge. There you go, May. Great AA numbers, you know, decisives all over the place. And then we get this nice, I think Laird calls it the middle finger. Like, but there's actually like more condensed ones. But I remember this entire time here going, God, like it got up to 0.57. It was the high. I bought him at 0.185. Okay. And the whole time I'm just like, oh, I think this about as good as you can get for a 32-year-old Brazilian league midfielder. Like that felt high. I'm like,
Yeah.
but he's doing so good. He's just Nacho. He's just gonna keep ripping it off. And then all of a sudden, new manager comes in, a couple bad games, and what Alex pop quiz. What is your reaction when he starts struggling a little bit?
I always want to sell.
Hold on. Okay. That's possibly right or wrong. But if you're like me in that situation and you miss the high, right? Hold on, let me pull it back up one more time. I just wonder how many people do this exact same thing. Okay. I missed the high, right? Still
Yeah.
over 0.5. It's okay. Now it's here. You're like, oh, he just needs one good game. Just needs one more good game, and then he's going to be back up here.
That's true.
And what
That's
ends up
true.
happening? Benched. It's down. It's like, oh, well, once he comes back in, he's too good. Once he comes back in, it's going to go back
That's
up.
a thing that I struggle with, I think, in football is I don't think you can look at SO5 scores and be like, oh, this guy's going to continue starting because SO5 scores don't necessarily mean real life performance and in the eyes of the manager either. Like, and some guys like Federico DeMarco I have in my interstack, and from one week I don't know if he's going to be starting at left back, left wing back, center back, or bench back. You know, like he'll do all three, all four in the course of 4 games, and he performed incredibly yesterday at center back. And actually, at the time of the clean sheet before they conceded, had I played him over Milan Skriniar,
You were like first.
I would have been in first. He was the best defender on Inter yesterday. But
But
like his
Skirinar, you know exactly what position he's playing 99% of
yes,
games,
yes.
which is
We
starting.
yeah, right. Bought him for the sake of the start. But also it sounds like they're gonna sell Ruben Gosens today. So
I saw that actually gone. That was done.
oh really?
Yeah, when
The
I woke
Bayer
up, that was one
Leverkusen
of
one yesterday?
yeah, the
All right.
loan or whatever. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, I would have liked him to go because then I could have sold Skriniar and played DeMarco every week. But and then
it
been
is what it
upset when
is.
he got benched. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It is what
guess
it
what?
is.
Remember what we said? That's sober.
It is. But yeah, so but tracking that and keeping track of that is one of the harder things with patience.
Yeah.
That's where I lack.
But yeah, the so I think like just to like because we have like about 3 minutes, and then just like to go back to the original topic, I think the reality, and this is where I got to the answer, okay, on what do our cards like owe us? What should we expect? I think we should expect this to be a game, and we should expect to enjoy like some really fun moments when our guy scores. Like, I don't know about you, when I get that notification that one of my dudes scores, it's like full rush, especially if that happens to be in like a really good lineup and he was like your last guy to go. You're like, oh my God, like what you just had, right? Because like to go back to your Inter example, when did that happen? After Latoro scored from Barella in like the
Off the
70th
bench.
minute. And
Off the bench.
I did not see you. I'm assuming either the heart rate jumped up, you might have stood up, excitement's happening. And what does Alex do? He runs to the reward pool and he's like, oh dear God, can I win Mbappe?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like
Tiger Woods double fist pump when he scored. It was funny
right.
that that whole game was that Ignacio Fernandez price graph of excitement. Like I was down because Lautaro sat,
Didn't start
and then
midweek.
yeah, we got the Barella goal from Çalhanoğlu, who was my captain. All of a sudden, we're on the way up. Lautaro comes in, scores. I'm looking at the
We
prize
haven't
pool, and
conceded
then
yet. We haven't
yeah,
conceded
and then
yet.
they
So I can't
concede.
wait for minute 60 for my goalie's clean sheet to show up so I can
Yep,
shoot way up.
yep. See exactly where I stand, and then the
But
goal happens,
that's
and it's the bench.
but again, back to it. That's the game. And
It is
look,
the
like
game.
I always tell like people that have reached out to me, whether it's from the DFS space or just random, like start with like the free stuff and just see if you enjoy the game, if you enjoy the sweat. If you don't enjoy that, like you're not going to enjoy it once all of a sudden there's money on the line too. So if you
It's
enjoy
funny.
the game, but
I don't really enjoy sweats. I enjoy opening the rewards. Like
that's a
yesterday
different
was
sweat. That is a sweat.
yesterday was torture for me. Which
Oh, yeah.
just with riding it out. And it's not a bad thing. Like I make the mistake of going and sitting in my TV room with my laptop while I'm working and turning on the interview. Like I didn't watch the first half because I didn't expect anything. And then I was like, oh, maybe Lautaro
Oh,
will
now
come
I
in.
gotta turn
And
it.
now I'm invested.
So do you
And
enjoy the baseball sweat?
I can. It's a little different. And my baseball sweat has been a real bummer because like I'll go into the third day in ninth place in Rare Pro, and the last day has just been the day that the Phillies
Torture.
decide to just be horrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. There's a little bit of both.
yes,
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
I
Is what I
enjoy
hear.
it more in baseball because I don't have expectations in baseball because I know
Dang.
the random number generator and I go in and I'm like, wow, if he hit a homer here, like that would propel me and that'd be crazy. But I don't go into an at bat thinking like this guy's got the advantage against the lefty, he's gonna hit a home run because I know like the best home run hitters hit a home run it's like a
So I think we just like rounded.
15% of the time. Yeah.
So can I just say that I think we just rounded it all out perfectly? Is it's truly what you expect. You need to like, I guess, check yourself. I guess more than anything is figure out if your expectations are in line with like the reality or what you should be getting, and then manage it too. Because I would argue, like, if you enjoy, so this may or may not be a good argument at the end to end on, might be a downer. I don't know, but if you enjoy the baseball sweat, right, but you don't really enjoy the football sweat, you don't enjoy like that part. Maybe the expectation for football, because you said you do like the ETH grinding aspect, is maybe the expectation of what I want to do is just make an ETH grinding team where, you know, them shooting up way up high isn't what I expect to happen. I'm not let down when, you know, my champion stack, you know, concedes or all that. I'm super pumped when I make first or second threshold. I can still remember my first, second threshold ever. It was like the greatest thing ever. Like that was so cool. At that point of my, like, that was just like a huge victory, right? That was
Mhm.
awesome. That was an awesome sweat. And enjoy the baseball side. I think that's kind of like where I wanted to go this whole topic is I think everybody's just got to figure out what brings them joy, because at the end of the day, Sorare, it's fantasy football or fantasy baseball game.
Yes. It
They
is.
do not
It
they do
is.
not promise investment. They do not promise you riches. You know, so many of the little tweaks out there is like, you know, well, they have to make sure that my cards go up or that I make money. It's like everybody can't win.
They have a personal responsibility to make sure their brand is better and keep their brand
Right.
up and the company afloat. They don't
Keep our
have any
stuff. They have
personal
to,
responsibility.
is it wrong to say that their responsibility is to keep us above zero? like don't do stuff that puts me that drags my stuff down to zero. Like don't you like ruin it, I guess. I don't know. I don't even like
I
that. I
think
don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like
I
that
think
take,
you have
bro.
to frame it. I think you have to frame it as they need to keep their platform afloat. They need to
Right.
keep their
Try to bring
their
new users
platform
in, all that stuff.
right. They don't have any obligation. Once they sell us a card, it's our card and it's not their
That was
problem
my
anymore.
choice. That was my choice
Right.
to pay what it was my choice not to sell Nacho for that
But if
crazy
they
amount of profit.
if they decide that all of a sudden goals are worth -20 and nobody wants to play the game anymore, even though that would be kind of a funny
Oh,
turn
no,
on
that
thing.
would be
But
the
like,
uh the shitulars like
yes, right, yes,
going to the moon.
right. Um, if they decide to do that and that nukes the platform, that is on them, and we would,
Agreed.
I think,
Well, then you would
probably file a
revolt,
class action. Yeah,
dude. The community would burn into the ground. But
yeah.
you know that's not a
But
realistic.
that's where their responsibility is, though. That's what I'm saying is to not do stuff like that.
Sure,
But like they
sure,
don't
of
have any
course.
responsibility to make sure that my Emmanuel Reynoso stays on the field. It's nothing
Right.
like that.
I mean, it wasn't their fault that, you know, XYZ, you know, my Kakir goalie has decided that he doesn't like his team anymore and he may or may not be injured.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I have multiple other guys that supposedly may or may not like the team anymore. So like guess what? Like that sucks. It really does. I can choose right now to sell and get back, you know, 60 cents on the dollar. I could ride it out. You know, I could go patience and go, look, you know, the one guy's 25, the one guy's 28. I just got to hold out. I don't know the answer. But like these are the decisions that we get to make as managers, as gallery owners. And I think that that's just like, again, the
Yeah.
cool, torture, fun part of Sorare. And
You get to buy an Usami and play him once and he tears his Achilles and then all of a sudden his
but guess
team's in a
what?
relegation
Hold on.
battle.
I know we're going. Yeah, and we don't have Japan League 2. That needs to happen before
Yeah.
that happens. Hold on, I should just curious. I haven't looked out, so I'm pulling up his graph. I'm assuming though, based on what if you would have panic sold to where he's at now, I'm assuming it hasn't gone up much, has it?
It
Since
it did a little bit. I wonder
Yeah, I
which
see
one of
that
those
right
is me.
there.
Oh, that's actually before me, I think. I think I bought him at 0.3.
Yeah, you're up here
Yeah,
about.
I'm in that cluster at the top. Love to be there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the true middle finger, right?
Yeah,
There it
there I
is.
am.
Sorry.
Yep, 0.3
Sorry.
exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
tore his
I
Achilles
mean,
literally. You can see in the graph
I
he
know.
tore his Achilles literally just then, right
Just so
there.
people don't think you're a complete idiot. I mean, Usami is really, really, really good.
250 right there. That was it. Yeah. So now
But
I don't even know if if his team's gonna go down, if he's gonna get sold back, if he's even gonna be able to play. So,
it's
but
hard to
like
see him in second division. So
right, I've just made the decision to hold until then,
you
and then
should.
hopefully recoup. Even
But
if I
that's back to
recoup
that patience. Back to that
half my,
patience
yeah.
aspect.
And I've had it with places like that and with situations like that, but then in others I'm not so good. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we
case by
just
case
ended
basis.
on we just ended on a nice bummer. Cool. Let's do
That's
this
fine.
again next week.
That's where I'm at.
Well, it's a good big old circle. But anyhow, I hope that this was fun. I enjoyed the top,
Yes, of
Alex. So nothing
course.
else. All right. Join us back next week. We're gonna doing these on Wednesday mornings. Alex, are we doing any more MLB this week?
I
Maybe,
got
possibly.
two things I need to happen to do my next MLB video unless I come up with a better idea. But
There's
I
a
need
good
to figure out
teaser. I like it.
I need to figure out how to calculate value over replacement player, which is an
Ooh.
issue in Excel where I can't VLOOKUP using copy and pasted cells for all you nerds out there. If you have an idea on how to overcome that, drop in the comments. And then the other thing is I need to win a dang super rare so I can do progress or sell, which ain't
We
gonna
need to
happen this
get
week because I'm already buried.
we need to get Bobby on to give you Bob Flynn the roadmap to supers.
I've thought about having Bob on. One of
Get
these
him
days, I
on.
think Bob's
Bob's
gonna
great,
join
great
me.
people. They're
I'm
and
gonna make him.
that's and here I'm gonna end on positive. For all that said about complaining, about tilting, there's some truly amazing, awesome, fantastic people
A
and I
thousand
definitely
percent.
recommend people to try to gravitate towards positive people that can help you advance in your, mission, your road, your game.
Yes.
Game,
Yeah.
people.
The
Game.
community is, I would say the community is the number one selling point. It can be a
Absolutely.
detractor too, but
But if you find the
once you
right
find
one.
the good folks, yeah, it's
Yep.
very worth it.
All right. On that note, we're out of here. Thank you. Soup.